Men, there's a fundamental difference between being valued as a partner and being valued as a provider. Partners build together, share responsibility, and contribute mutually. Providers are expected to give, fund, and support while receiving minimal reciprocity. And some women are experts at making you feel like your role is to provide while they receive, all while framing it as partnership, love, or traditional relationship dynamics. Today, we're exposing 6 tricks women use to position you as provider rather than partner. And once you recognize these tactics, you'll never accept one-sided arrangement again. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and hit the hype by dropping a comment if you've ever felt more like an ATM than a partner. Your recognition might help another man see the dynamic before he's locked into provider role. Trick 1. Praising your provider capabilities while diminishing partnership contributions. This trick uses selective praise to shape you into a provider. She constantly celebrates your earning, support, and financial stability, while ignoring your emotional, time, or domestic contributions. The message: your value lies in what you provide, not who you are. Men naturally respond to appreciation, so repeated praise for providing conditions you to focus on money and overlook imbalance. You start chasing validation through provision, mistaking manipulation for respect. Watch what she acknowledges. Does she thank you only for paying bills, but not for listening, helping, or showing care? Does she describe you to others by your income or job, not your character? If she urges you to work more but shows little concern for your rest or well-being, you're being valued as a resource, not a partner. Praise can also create obligation. "You're such a great provider" becomes "keep providing." When praise appears right before a request or financial demand, it's strategic, not sincere. Over time, this conditioning erodes your identity. You become defined by output, not personhood. Your worth in the relationship depends on continued financial performance. And once provision stops, so does appreciation. Trick 2. Framing traditional roles. When convenient, abandoning them. When not. This trick involves invoking traditional gender roles when they benefit her. Man should provide, pay for dates, handle expenses, while abandoning those roles when they'd require her contribution or obligation. She wants traditional male provision without traditional female domestic contribution, care, or support. She cherry-picks role advantages while rejecting role responsibilities. The trick works because inconsistency is difficult to challenge. When you point out the imbalance, she can accuse you of being sexist for expecting traditional female roles, while her expectation of traditional male provision goes unquestioned. This double standard traps you in providing obligations, while she maintains complete freedom from reciprocal obligations. Notice when traditional role arguments appear. Does she invoke "men should provide" when bills need paying, but reject "women should cook, clean, support" when domestic contribution is discussed? This selective traditionalism reveals she wants benefits of traditional female role without responsibilities. Pay attention to how she defines modern versus traditional. Is she modern, independent woman when it comes to her autonomy, career, choices, but traditional woman who deserves male provision when it comes to finances? This convenient flexibility reveals manipulation of role frameworks to her advantage. Watch whether she expects traditional male provision, paying for everything, financial support, being breadwinner, while maintaining completely modern life focused on her career, independence, and self-actualization without equivalent traditional investment in domestic support or prioritizing relationship. Listen to how she justifies the imbalance. Does she claim you earn more so you should pay more? Does she suggest that's just what men do? Does she frame your provision as what good partners do while her lack of contribution isn't discussed? These justifications normalize imbalance. Notice, whether she holds you to standards she doesn't apply to herself. Must you fulfill traditional provider role while she's freed from any traditional female obligations? Must you demonstrate commitment through provision while she demonstrates commitment through presence? Asymmetrical standards reveal exploitation of role expectations. Check whether she's building anything traditional if she's demanding traditional provision. Traditional relationships involve traditional female contributions, domestic labor, supporting husband's career, prioritizing family, creating home. If she demands provision without equivalent traditional contribution, she's extracting benefits while refusing responsibilities. Watch whether she uses shame or social pressure to maintain provider expectations. Does she suggest you're not a real man if you don't provide? Does she compare you to traditional men who take care of their women? Shame-based enforcement of provider role, while rejecting all traditional female roles, reveals manipulative double standard. Listen to whether she acknowledges the contradiction or genuinely believes she's entitled to traditional male provision while owing no reciprocal traditional contribution. The lack of awareness or the defensive justification when confronted reveals how deeply the entitled mindset is embedded. The psychological mechanism is weaponizing gender role expectations selectively to create maximum advantage. She invokes roles when they benefit her, rejects them when they'd create obligations for her, and uses social pressure about masculinity to prevent you from challenging the double standard. You're trapped in provider role by gendered expectations, while she escapes reciprocal obligations by claiming those same gendered expectations are oppressive. The long-term impact is resentment and exploitation. You fulfill traditional obligations while receiving none of traditional benefits of those arrangements. You provide without receiving equivalent partnership contribution. You carry financial burden while she maintains complete autonomy and minimal responsibility. This is neither traditional partnership nor modern equal partnership. It's cherry-picked arrangement designed to maximize her benefit while minimizing her obligation. Trick 3. Creating learned helplessness around finances. This trick involves her presenting herself as incapable, overwhelmed, or confused by financial matters, which positions you as the one who must handle everything financial. She can't manage money, doesn't understand finances, gets overwhelmed by bills, so naturally you must handle it all. This learned helplessness around finances ensures you're provider by default, since she's positioned herself as incapable of self-provision. The trick works because men often want to help, fix, and handle things their partners find challenging. By presenting financial management as beyond her capabilities, she makes you feel needed and capable while actually manipulating you into full financial responsibility for both of you. Notice whether her helplessness is consistent or selective. Is she incapable of managing money generally, or only incapable when it would require her to pay for things or contribute financially? Can she somehow manage to shop, make purchases, and spend money, but can't manage to budget, pay bills, or contribute to shared expenses? Selective competence reveals strategic helplessness. Pay attention to whether she makes efforts to learn financial management or whether she's comfortable remaining helpless indefinitely. Does she take steps to understand finances better, or does she embrace financial incompetence as a permanent condition that requires you to always handle everything? Comfort with helplessness reveals it's beneficial to her. Watch whether her helplessness extends to earning money. Is she equally helpless about working, advancing career, or increasing income? Or is the helplessness specifically about managing and contributing money while she's perfectly capable of spending it? Strategic helplessness around contribution, combined with capability around consumption, reveals manipulation. Listen to how she describes her relationship with money. Does she claim money stresses her out? She's not good with numbers. She doesn't understand finances. Do these claims seem genuine or convenient? Does she use these claims specifically to avoid financial responsibility and contribution? Notice whether she shows any interest in becoming financially capable or whether she's invested in maintaining helpless position. Does she want to learn, or does she prefer that you handle everything? Preference for you handling everything reveals that helplessness serves her interests by making you permanent financial manager and provider. Check whether she's helpless in other areas or only around finances. Is she capable, competent, successful in career, social life, other domains, but suddenly helpless when it comes to managing and contributing money? Domain-specific helplessness reveals its strategic rather than genuine capability issue. Watch whether the helplessness increases when you suggest she should contribute more or handle some financial responsibilities. Does she become even more overwhelmed and incapable when asked to step up? Intensifying helplessness in response to expectations reveals its defense mechanism against contribution. Listen to whether she ever expresses desire to be financially capable, or whether she frames her helplessness as unchangeable aspect of who she is. Framing financial incapability as permanent personality trait rather than learnable skill set reveals investment in maintaining helpless dependent position. The psychological mechanism is using learned helplessness to avoid financial responsibility and contribution. By positioning herself as incapable of financial management, she makes you responsible by default, while avoiding any expectation that she should contribute or manage finances herself. Your capability becomes her excuse for complete financial dependence. The long-term impact is you carrying full financial responsibility for two people, while she maintains position of dependent who can't be expected to contribute because she can't handle financial matters. Her learned helplessness becomes your burden, and your provider, not by mutual agreement but by her strategic incompetence that makes provision seem necessary rather than recognizing its manufactured dependence. Trick 4. Positioning her income as hers and your income as ours. This trick involves establishing ownership framework where money she earns is her personal money to spend on herself, while money you earn is shared money that should be available for both of you. She spends her income freely on personal desires, while expecting your income to cover shared expenses, her needs, and relationship costs. This double standard in income ownership ensures you're provider for both of you, while she's provider only for herself. The trick works because it's often established gradually through subtle framing rather than explicit declaration. She never formally announces this arrangement. She just acts according to it consistently until it becomes normalized pattern. By the time you notice the double standard, it's already established as how things are, and challenging it seems petty or controlling. Notice the pattern of whose money pays for what. Do you pay for shared expenses, dates, household costs, and often her personal needs too, while her income disappears into personal spending? Does she frame this as natural arrangement rather than imbalanced exploitation? This allocation reveals who's provider and who's consumer. Pay attention to how she talks about money. Does she say my money for her income but our money, or your money for yours? Does she spend her income without consulting you, but expect input on or access to your income? This possessive language reveals the ownership framework she's established. Watch what she does with her income. Is she saving it, building her personal assets, spending it on herself exclusively, or is she contributing proportionally to shared life? If her income benefits only her, while your income benefits both of you, you're the provider and she's the beneficiary. Listen to how she justifies the arrangement. Does she claim she earns less so she can't contribute as much, while still spending her entire income on herself? Does she suggest your role is to provide while her income is supplementary? These justifications normalize provider arrangement while making you feel unreasonable for expecting equity. Notice whether she ever offers to contribute more from her income or whether she defends her right to keep her money separate while accessing yours. Defense of asymmetrical arrangement reveals she benefits from current structure and has no interest in equitable partnership. Check whether she would accept the reverse arrangement. If you suggested keeping your income entirely for yourself while expecting her to cover shared costs from hers, would she consider that reasonable? Her response reveals whether she believes in the fairness of the arrangement or just in the arrangement that benefits her. Watch whether she expects transparency about your finances while maintaining privacy about hers. Must you disclose income, expenses, savings, while she keeps her finances private? This asymmetrical transparency enforces your provider role while protecting her consumer role. Listen to whether she frames partnership as sharing everything, or whether she acknowledges that her approach involves her keeping what's hers while accessing what's yours. The lack of acknowledgement reveals either absence of awareness or deliberate denial of obvious imbalance. The psychological mechanism is establishing different ownership rules for each person's income through consistent practice and framing. By acting as if her money is exclusively hers and your money is available for both, she creates provider dynamic where you fund shared life while she funds only herself. The ownership double standard ensures you're always giving more than receiving. The long-term impact is significant wealth transfer from you to her. Your income goes toward shared expenses and her needs, while her income goes toward her exclusive benefit: savings, investments, personal consumption. Over time, this builds her wealth and security while depleting yours. You're providing for both of you while she's only providing for herself, which creates growing disparity in financial security and independence. Trick 5. Expecting you to step up while she steps back. This trick works by reducing her effort, financial, domestic, emotional, while raising expectations that you'll step up. She calls it natural progression or proof of commitment. Each time you do more, she does less, creating a growing provider dynamic disguised as love and responsibility. Watch for one-sided stepping up. Does she match your effort or retreat further? Does your extra support become a new baseline instead of something she appreciates? If every time you handle more she develops new needs, it's strategic helplessness, not partnership. Notice her reaction when you can't provide as much. Does she adapt and help, or guilt you for failing? Mutual support means balance. Manipulation means obligation. If your effort is praised as proof of love, while her withdrawal is normalized, the roles are set. You provide, she receives. Over time, temporary help becomes permanent dependence. The psychology is gradual conditioning. Each increase in your effort justifies another decrease in hers. Eventually, you're carrying the entire load, mistaking exploitation for commitment. Trick 6. Guilt-tripping over financial differences. This tactic makes you feel guilty for earning more or being financially stable. She frames your success as unfair privilege instead of the result of your work, turning your guilt into leverage. Since you have more, you owe more. Refusing becomes proof of selfishness. Watch how she talks about money. Does she call your income luck or privilege instead of effort? Does she take responsibility for her situation or act like a victim of circumstance? Does she try to improve her finances or just access yours? Notice whether she's grateful for help or treats it as expected. True gratitude shows respect. Entitlement shows manipulation. If she never plans to close the financial gap herself and only discusses you doing it, she's not building partnership, she's seeking a provider. The psychology is simple. She weaponizes guilt over financial inequality to make your resources feel like a moral obligation. Over time, you become a wealth transfer system funding her comfort while she avoids responsibility for her own growth.